You remember a time when people seemed like they laughed easier? You know, when hanging out didn't feel like it was some sort of a military operation? So tell me in the comments, what year were you happiest? And what changed? Something is happening to people right now, and I just don't think we know how to explain it. But you can see it. You can see it in people's eyes. And it's the way they talk. And in the way they laugh. Almost like they're forcing it.
And I don't think this heaviness is depression for most people. And it's not sadness either. It's like carrying a weight in your chest that you can't explain, that you can't rest from, and that you just can't seem to drop. You start your day exhausted before life even throws anything at you. And I can relate to that. And we can relate to that on so many levels. Be honest with us. When is the last time you woke up and actually felt rested?
Yeah.
Not the I slept 7 hours, but I feel rested.
You ever notice how something that used to take 10 minutes feels like climbing a damn mountain now? And I don't think it's just me. I think a lot of us are struggling with things that simply shouldn't feel this difficult. Not just physically tired, it's like tired down deep in your bones and in your head and in your heart all at once. And half the people we see, they're doing the same darn thing. Struggling quietly. Acting fine so nobody asks questions. It's like everybody's going under, but at the same time, they're smiling through it. Because you're admitting drowning feels riskier than pretending that you're okay. And it's wild because nobody talks about this out loud. We all just keep moving, we keep doing, and we keep pretending. You know, there seems to be an unspoken rule now. It's don't be too real, don't be too honest, and certainly don't make people uncomfortable. So instead, we armor up and we power through it and we act like we got it together. But the truth is, behind closed doors, people are falling apart. It's those quiet breakdowns at 2 a.m. It's a grocery store parking lot falling apart. People are tired, not because they don't sleep, but because they just don't feel safe being themselves anymore. Everyone is performing, everyone is monitoring, and everyone is self-editing. And it's not because we're trying to impress each other, because nobody wants to be punished just for being themselves. Think about that. We're afraid to be, too emotional, because somebody might call it dramatic, or maybe too honest, because somebody will call it being rude. We're scared of being too quiet because we're afraid that somebody will think that we're angry. And we're afraid to be too passionate because somebody's going to think that we're just being ridiculous. So what do? We hold everything back. We shrink, we filter, we polish, and we numb. And then we wonder why we feel disconnected from everybody, including ourselves. But here's the truth. Most people, they don't feel lonely anymore because they're alone. They feel alone because they've learned how to hide the part of themselves that actually matters. And I don't know if we even know how many times we can shut down a part of ourselves before we end up losing. It's not like people don't want to be themselves. It's just that being yourself has become so risky. People aren't really afraid to be disliked anymore. That's perfectly fine. It's more like your fear is of being misunderstood. So what you get is everybody editing themselves, censoring themselves. Not because they're fake, but because they're tired of being punished for who they are, or told that the only reason they can be that way is for one specific reason that somebody else seems to believe. That kind of exhaustion, that happens way before you even lift a finger. I remember back when I was younger, I had some crappy old job, didn't make very much money at all, but it seemed like my worries were different. I didn't feel exhausted like I do today. And maybe it was because I was younger, I had a little young blood left in me still, but I'm not really convinced on that entirely. I think that today offers up something different that I didn't have to worry about back then. My biggest worry back then was whether my truck was going to break down on the way to work. which could be a big deal, but when that's your only worry, life seems a lot lighter. It certainly makes a whole lot more sense. It's just complicated more now because I'm not only worried about my truck breaking down, I'm worried about offending somebody, or I'm worried about allowing too much of myself out for fear that somebody's going to use that against me, or I'll be embarrassed, or there's a million reasons that we put up this protective wall. Some call it a mask, whatever, a barricade, a barrier. It's to protect us from disappointment, hurt, misunderstanding. And there's so many things. I've been told so many times that if you believe that, it has to be for this reason and this reason only. And I told him, no, that's not what it is for me. Well, maybe I'll just share that. I had people tell me personally that if I'm worried about people abusing the system financially, that the only reason I can do that is because I'm hateful, I'm jealous. There's all kinds of reasons that they painted me. I'm petty. What is that? No, I'm a dad. I'm a dad who's worried about a future. That's a weight that I wake up with every single day that I just can't put down. And it's not just one of my kids, it's all three of my kids and my grandkids that I hope to have one day. That's too much. Who can rest? Who can rest easy anymore with that weight? The ones that are scamming, they rest, whatever, even when they got kids. But ultimately, it's the social pressure. I don't even know if I'm allowed to say this, but I'm just going to say it because I've already said it enough times. The damage is done, baby. I just want to say honestly, I really do miss those simpler times. And maybe that's how I ended up out here. I was hoping for simpler times. The problem is, the weight that I was hoping to evade, it came with me. Because it wasn't something that was tangible to pick up. It's what's up in here and what's in here. And it can drive you, no matter where you're at. That move from the city to the country didn't fix it. I'm working on that now, but it ultimately didn't fix it. That weight, it goes with you everywhere. Be afraid to show who you are. The weight of not being able to feel comfortable letting people know who you are, that's a lot. I miss the simpler days. I didn't care back then. Did you? Dirty, muddy hair everywhere. I didn't care. So let me ask you, do you miss that version of yourself that you were back when you were younger? Was it actually easier? I don't know. It didn't seem easy back then, but it certainly seems easy compared to now. You ever notice how life, it piles up just like firewood? Not in these big, humongous, dramatic moments, just in the small, everyday tasks. It's the ones that quietly start weighing on you. Like for us today, we have to restack our wood so that we have a good inventory because we got more days coming that we are responsible for. It's just part of life out here. But I did wake up this morning thinking, man, why does even the simplest things seem so hard anymore? And I don't think that it's just me. I think a lot of people are moving through life, being worn down by things that would have just been simple only just a few years ago. It's not because we're lazy or because we don't care, but because we're carrying too much emotionally. That happens before we even get to the physical workload. Have you ever tried to do a task like chores with the head just packed full of stress? It's like trying to drag a broke down school bus up a hill. And I've personally noticed people are starting to look like that everywhere. It's like they're doing life with this invisible weight strapped to their back. Still showing up, still doing what they gotta do, but without much left in that tank. And the messed up part is, most of us, we don't even talk about it. We just push through and get the job done. Stack the wood and pretend like everything is fine. But somewheres along the line, life stopped feeling like it was something we were living. It's more like it feels like something that we're surviving. So before I get started over here shuffling these logs around, I just want to say something real quick. If you feel tired in a way that sleep just simply will not fix, and even simple tasks feel heavier than they should, it doesn't mean that there's something wrong or you're weak. It might just mean that you're carrying more than anybody knows. You know, I started reading about why adulthood feels so different now. And it's not because I'm trying to be like some kind of rocket scientist. It's just I really want to understand why it seems like all of us are just running on fumes. There turns out there's this thing. It's called decision fatigue, which basically means the more choices and interruptions and those responsibilities that you have to juggle, it becomes harder to do the simpler things. They say that an adult today will make more decisions in 1 week than they did 50 years ago. In an entire month. Are you kidding me? Those were simpler times. It's too much. You choose this, choose that, hide this, hide that. Even to hide or reveal something is a choice that can change the direction of your life completely. I've experienced this. I tried to share one time something with a very dear friend about something that I had a perception on, and that my friend took that so wrong that it actually fractured our friendship for a long time. And I learned a lesson back then. Not everybody is going to hear you for what you're trying to say. And they're not always going to understand who you are inside. They're going to base all that stuff on their own life experiences. And it can be through a lens that you don't want to be seen through. And it may not even be anything that has to do with you. A lot of times that's the case. But the fact of the matter is, it becomes too much. And we wonder why our brain feels like a Walmart shopping cart with a bent wheel. Terrible. So apparently, it's not that we can't sleep because all the screens, which I really thought, scrolling through the phones, the TVs, the computers, turns out it's because the body just simply cannot rest when the mind is still waiting and bracing for that impact. Sleep, that just simply does not fix stress that doesn't shut off. And that's why you know the people, they can sleep 9 hours plus and still wake up completely wiped. We're not rested, we're just recovering. There was a study that said people today are more socially connected than any generation in history, but emotionally isolated more than any generation ever recorded. We have more interactions with less substance today, and it's scary. Like, how can we have so much connection but no feeling to it, no memory to it? It's like baseless and empty over and over. It's like we're trying to fill a void that's never ever going to happen. And it's mostly because we're just jam-packed with all of that garbage. It's weird how adulthood has become less about building a future, but more about holding the present together with duct tape and hope. Nobody warned me about this version of growing up, and I don't ever remember anybody saying, hey, you're going to hit a point where it's going to be very difficult to bounce back like you used to, where stress doesn't seem to fade after just a weekend, and where the world just feels so heavy and it's in a way that you just simply cannot articulate. And it really doesn't help when everybody seems to be pretending that they're fine. Like there's this unspoken rule. And maybe that's why we're so disconnected. Nobody wants to be the first one to say that this is way harder than I ever expected it to be. But you know what's wild? Even though most of us feel this way, we still show up. We still get out of bed. We still handle all of those responsibilities. And we still love the people in our lives the best that we can. Even if we're drained. Even if we're scared. Even if we're grieving a part of ourselves that used to have way more energy. Where did you go? Look, I'm not trying to claim that I have the answers. I'm just somebody who's stacking some pepperoni on my Bama Llama pizza after I was done stacking all my firewood. But I'm going to tell you this. I really am trying to make sense of all this. Why life doesn't seem the same as it used to. Maybe improving our everything doesn't start with pretending that everything is fine. Maybe it starts with being honest, even just in tiny doses. We're all afraid to expose ourselves completely. Only a couple people get that. The Father, the Son, and the Holy Ghost, baby, and maybe Mom. All right, guys, so if you're enjoying this content, make sure you're giving us a big thumbs up. It really does help. You know the transition we're going through. If you hung out this long, I believe you've been with us for a long time. And I just want you to know that the thumbs ups, they do help. You know it anyway. So give us one if you got it in you, and share the video, hit that notification bell. Probably the ones that are all the way back here already did it. But if you happen to be one that has not done it yet, hit that notification bell. Share this content. Could help somebody. Maybe it's just entertainment. Maybe I'm just a freaking dork, man. I don't know. But you're welcome on this journey, right? Join me by subscribing right now. Guys, we just want to say that we love you, especially the ones of you that have been hanging out tough with us through the thick and thin. Yep. And for everybody new, we're excited that you're here. Yay? All right. Thanks for watching. We'll see you on the next one. And peace.
2 rings, 1 vow, they sealed it in ink. Kitchen table dreams scribbled in the sand.